Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Brandon Lester Fishing. Let's talk about stop number 2 of the Bassmaster Elite Series. I want to recap that tournament, Harris Chain of Lakes, coming off a win at the Kissimmee Chain at the Open, a good tournament to kick off the year on the Elite Series at the St. Johns River. So the Florida swing was kind of going good, things were rolling in a positive direction. Momentum is a big deal in fishing, just like any other sport. And I was definitely looking forward to getting to the Harris Chain. Been a few years since I had been to the Harris Chain of Lakes. And just to kind of give you a little bit of my history there, I've top 10 in an Open there in the past. I actually fished my very first Bassmaster event back in 2012. It was an Open on the Harris Chain. So I've been there a few times, my first time fishing an Elite Series tournament there. But I love the place. I really do. I like it. It's no secret by now that I love fishing in the state of Florida. And I was definitely looking forward to getting there and trying to break it down. I knew that some fish were going to be spawning. Some fish were still going to be pre-spawn, and some fish were definitely already post-spawn. So, the Harris Chain is a lot like the Kissimmee Chain in the fact that you got a lot of different lakes to choose from. You've got, of course, Big Lake Harris. You got Little Lake Harris, which is right off of Big Lake Harris. You've got Lake Eustis. You can lock through to Lake Griffin. You can lock down to Lake Apopka. You can stay close. You can make long runs. You can sight fish. There's canals. Lots of different options on the Harris Chain. You can fish offshore. There's shell bars and stuff like that, which is eventually how the tournament was won. Congrats to Buddy Gross on winning that tournament and figuring out that shell bed deal, because that's something that honestly I know nothing about. I consider myself to be a decent offshore fisherman, but that shell bed deal is just not what I go to Florida for. When I go down there, I want to be flipping. I want to be up shallow, especially when they're spawning. That's just what I like to do, and you got to fish your strengths. But a great finish, at the Harris Chain. Anytime you can make a top 10, you definitely got to be happy about that. Was actually leading the tournament after day number 1. I'm going to drop some footage in this video. It's not just going to be me sitting here in my shop talking. So y'all stay tuned. I'm going to throw some fish catches in here at the end. But first day of the tournament, I go out. Well, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about practice. So during practice, like I said, I just want to get a gauge for what the fish were doing, what kind of stage they were in. I spent some time looking for some spawners, and I found a few, but they were in very much typical places, community hole type places, and I knew there was no way you were going to win the tournament doing that. I didn't feel like. Where we did have a cold front, and there was another warming trend coming, which I knew would bring up a new wave of fish. But with all that in mind, I did find one little shell bed that's right outside of a stretch of reeds. And I caught a big bag in an Open here. A few years ago, I caught like a 24-pound bag off of this little bitty shell bar. It's not a place that I feel like gets fished a lot. I found it kind of accidentally, to be honest. And they were on that shell bed in practice. I pulled up, I threw a Carolina rig, I catch like a 3.5 and another keeper. And I was like, well, I'll just start the tournament here and we'll see how it goes. And I pulled up there the first morning. Of course, I had a live camera. I fished that little shell bed, and it was warm that night, and the water temp had kind of spiked a little bit. I pull up, I fish the shell bed. I don't catch anything. I might have caught one little bitty keeper or something. So there's a little patch of reeds right up inside of where this shell bed was. I pull up there, I pitch in there, I catch like a 3-pounder my second flip. 3 or 4 flips later, I catch like a 7-12. Is a big fish. And then 2 or 3 flips after that, I catch another one about 4.5 pounds. So I'm already, it's not even an hour into the day, and I'm already on my way to a really, really good bag. First day, I think I had 23 or 24 something, and was actually leading the tournament, which I was surprised of, because the Harris Chain is definitely, it puts out some 30-pound bags pretty regularly. And I expected nothing less, this particular week. But, second day was a lot tougher for me. I think I only had 11 or 12 pounds the second day, something like that. Just didn't get any big bites. The third day kind of rallied back a little bit. You know, caught some more decent fish, caught another great big one, like a 7-pounder, had another good bag on the 3rd day, and made it to the 4th day. So, you know, to finish up this tournament with a 5th place finish was, you know, really a great finish. Kind of rode that big bag the first day and then just kind of backed it up with some solid bags the rest of the week. Never did catch another 20+ pound bag, you know, but I had like 15 pounds or something that last day. And in Florida, it's all about getting those big bites. 2 days, 2 of the 4 days, I got a big bite. The other days I didn't, you know, that's just the way it went. But I knew the way I was fishing, it definitely could have happened. I had high hopes, you know. I was a couple of 7 or 8 pounders away from winning the event. So I felt like I was doing the right thing, and definitely a great tournament. Let's talk about how I caught them, and something really, really cool that I did. Anytime I can find something, you know, it's kind of rare that I find something new that I feel like absolutely changes the way I fish anymore. I'm not saying I know everything or I've seen everything or done everything, because you're constantly trying to learn new things in this sport. But after the St. Johns River event, I was flipping some pads and stuff, and I was flipping straight fluorocarbon, and I knew there had to be a better way. And I'm not a guy who likes to flip straight braid when I'm fishing like isolated pads and reeds and stuff like that. I feel like you don't get as many bites because I believe fish can kind of feel that braid. Obviously, when you're flipping mats and stuff, you got to use straight braid. You don't have a choice. But when you're flipping like pads and reeds and stuff, you do have a choice. And I feel like you get more bites on fluorocarbon. So what I did was, when we got to the Harris chain, I rigged up a rod with braid with a fluorocarbon leader. We use it on our spinning tackle all the time, but I never have really tried it a lot on my bait casting equipment. So I rigged up one of my new Mustad Instinct rods. This is the 7'2" medium heavy. I backed off on my rod a little bit to compensate for the braid to the fluorocarbon leader, because I felt like if I used my 7.6 heavy, then I might break that fluorocarbon leader because there's no stretch in the system. So I backed off to my 7'2" medium heavy and just pitched around with it, and man, it worked absolutely perfect. I used a vicious 40-pound green no fade braid, and you could actually use the yellow as well. I like the green, but you know, I am playing around with the yellow on my bait caster just because you can see it. You know, you can detect bites easier. Like I said, this is my 7.2 medium heavy Brandon Lester Signature Series Mustad Instinct rod. These are showing up on websites all over the place. MidwayUSA is going to carry them. You guys look for them there. Man, I love that rod. It worked perfect. And on the business end, I tied a 3-foot leader of 20-pound vicious 100% fluorocarbon. I tied it with an FG knot. About a 3 to a 4 foot leader is all you want. You don't want it too long. And right here I've got, this is what I caught every one of my fish on. All 4 days, all 20 bass that I weighed in. There's a bobber stop, a 3/16 ounce Mustad Titan X worm weight, a 4/0 Mustad Grit Pin Max, and a Bitters 6-inch soft stick bait. So they call it their Bitters Mega Sling. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these guys or not. It's a local company down there to Florida. I use them a lot when I go down that way, but I use them a lot all over the country. Definitely not a sponsor of mine. They're cheap and they make good stuff. That's why I use them. But June bug color, a Florida staple. You can't go wrong with June bug. But that was it. That's how I caught every single one of them. I was flipping reeds, I was flipping pads, but mostly isolated reeds in, I'm gonna say, 1.5 to 4 feet of water. Those fish were spawning. I could not see most of them. I only sight fished, I think, 1 or 2 fish the entire event. But man, so much fun just locking that pitching rod in your hand, flipping around on those reeds. And you know, that system right there with that braid to that fluorocarbon leader, if you guys are flipping shallow cover, give that a try because it is absolutely game changing. I promise you. I'm gonna roll some fish catches right now and we'll wrap this one up. Welcome to Florida. Boom! Thank you, Lord. Yes. God, I set the hook and it was like, God, look at how pretty that fish is. Yes. I don't know about 8, but she's 7. Comes by. Must have flipping hook had that one. Dang, I love this.
Oh yeah. That's a 10 pounder.
He's a big one though. It's a dang big one. It's an 8 pounder.
I'm gonna get a picture. That's awesome. You want to weigh it?
But remember guys, just about anything you see right here can be found on MidwayUSA.com. Y'all check them out. They've got all kinds of stuff for the outdoorsman, and I know most of you guys are probably like me. You're not just a fisherman, you're a hunter, you're a shooter. You live the outdoor lifestyle, man, and that's what it's all about. So check those guys out. Thank you to MidwayUSA.com, and I'll see y'all next time right here, Brandon Lester Fishing.